Hello and welcome one and all, I am Old School Gamer 1971, special shout out to Millie and Lloyd. Hope you're all having a great day and are staying safe. Today's subject matter is Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Before we begin, if you enjoy the video, give it a big thumbs up, like, and if it pleases you, check out my channel and subscribe. So without further ado.
But Gadflow, the new king of the Winter Court, surprised us all. Singular among his people, he was
Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is an action RPG developed by Kaiko that released for the PlayStation 4 in 2020. The original released for the PlayStation 3 in 2012, developed by Big Huge Games. Again, this was released at the arse end of a PlayStation generation. This is a new and improved version, a few quality of life improvements. So let's see if it gets the recognition the original never got. A universe created by R.A. Salvatore, a best-selling author, Todd McFarlane, Spawn creator, and Ken Rolston, Oblivion lead designer. How could they go wrong? Kaiko are an experienced German developer based in Frankfurt, starting way back in 1987 with a game called Antics for the Commodore 64. With games such as The Legend of Kay, original and remaster, and the Darksiders remasters under their belts. I was looking forward to this remake, as this was a game that I'd enjoyed along with Dragon's Dogma at the end of the PlayStation 3 life cycle. You play as a recently reanimated corpse, which you can rename, who has died in battle and was saved by the gnomes in the Well of Souls. Set in a fantasy world, you appear at the beginning to have no place nor purpose in the world. There are beings, fate weavers, who can see your fate to the point of someone's death. For you, he sees a cloudy future at best. In time, you shape your character into what suits your playstyle, with races, classes and skills aplenty, adding side quests and an overarching main story. It is a big game and certainly one for fans of the genre. Maybe nothing new, but at the same time what it does well. Would serve well as an introduction into the genre. Just know you will be in this world for a couple of 100 hours, and some of those hours will just fly by. Well, they did for me. So is this Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, or is it Kingdoms of Valor Reupholstering? One of the first things that is noticeable is the controller mapping. It's not just easy to use, but also easy to return to. They make combat easy, switching between magic, melee and archery. The skills are also easy to understand. Early on, you get a skill to knock opponents into the air. It is surprising how this one thing changes combat so much, and as said, how easy it is to use. The skills you get fall into two categories: passive and activated, split into three subsets: might, finesse and sorcery, with an explanation of what they do and how to use them. This means that you don't really get useless skills that change nothing. Do not get me wrong, they are on the tree, just that they did a good job of explaining what everything does. Bang on. The combat is pretty fluid and, as I said before, easy to use. It's nice to see this carried over from the PlayStation 3 game. The RPG has become more Western with this generation. This is a pretty good example of this, and whilst I know that for some, Witcher and Dragon's Dogma fit into this category, I will say that the combat here feels more user friendly. Stringing something together, even early on, kinda feels natural. So let's start with the world. Whilst not quite to the standard of the games mentioned earlier, I will say that they are colourful and are pleasing to the eye. It's nice to see something a little different. The characters are more cartoony. This is kinda cool and really adds to the atmosphere of the game. The water is also worthy of a mention. It looks good and you can swim in it. Didn't remember that. Certainly adds to the exploration element of the game. As I said earlier, this game does have that cartoony style. This does not detract from the game. If anything, it adds to the overall appeal of the game. Seeing the same graphical style does get a bit samey eventually. As well, a lot of these games take over 100 hours plus. No matter if there is no repeat scenery, it will eventually all bleed together. I would argue there is nothing much like this on PlayStation 4, so all good here. It is always hard when comparing a remake to the original, as aesthetically it may look better. But is that resolution, or has some real work been done here? Here, some work has been done. However, I will admit that this does not impress as much as it did the first time round. But I am happy that it does look stylistically like the original and feel that it was priced about right. The voiceover sounds about right. The voices sound like the people give a damn about the roles they are playing. As well, we have no stupid sounding voices to pull you out of the game. When a game has a plot, stories that require you to take notice of what is being said, it requires this. So well done. I feel the sound does set the mood in the game, whether it's the voiceover, music or clash of steel on steel. It draws you into the world and keeps you there. This to me is what an RPG like this needs to do. It doesn't have licensed tracks, nor massive guns to make loud noises. What it has instead is a well constructed soundtrack that places you in a fantasy world. Again, when compared to the original, it's nice to see that they've not interfered with the original too much here, instead opting to keep the same atmosphere that the original had, which in this case makes this for a great gaming experience. Even if it is for a second time, you can't ask for more than that. The game did draw me in, and I do feel that this will be a platinum of the future. After you get out of the mine and to the first village, I started to feel that way. It's nice when the game pulls you in and doesn't let you go in the 6+ hours I spent on the game. It's good when an RPG starts off strong, and this most certainly does. This game is what I expected, but it did worry me whether it could live up to my expectations. It did not exceed them, however. It did what it said on the tin. For anyone who has experienced the game before knows there was not much wrong with this game. So how do you exceed the expectations when it was high already? Going into this game, one thing I didn't know is that I feel I must platinum this game. It was hard to tear myself away from this one. I never did finish it on PlayStation 3, and maybe it will be platinumed on my newly pre-ordered PlayStation 5. Whether it's PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, I know that I will enjoy it and will miss the world like Mad Max and Fallout 4 before it. It's the usual suspects who will get the most out of this game: Shane, Nene and Ricky Lafar. But will also say that I think most people would get something out of this world. It's just giving it a chance for it to show you its charms. So Kingdoms of Amalur scores a solid 8.3 out of 10. So Kingdoms of Amalur this most definitely is. I'm off to put my pint on the gnome's head and nab a bear just for jolly.
It's a tragedy whenever anyone's savage like this. Just look at the poor creature. She's been beaten to the brink of death.
And it's done. If you found this video interesting or have any suggestions, please comment down below, as it will put a big old smile on this old face. Let's get the conversation started. I will answer you all. I post new content every week. Have a great day one and all, and thank you for your support. This has been Old School Gamer 1971, signing off.